So this video is going to show you how you can make the wedge for your mandala. So I'm going to try to get a lot of stuff into this one video. So I might be, stopping the video and doing some of the steps before I move on. So you're not watching me do the whole process, which takes some time. So you want to first have an image. What I did is I opened up all the images that I'm going to be bringing over. What you're going to be making is something like this. The wedge is, it's in the shape of a wedge, and it's got all these different pictures in there, and they're all cropped, and they're all kind of like piled one on top of another. And the background that I had for this, you barely see it. You see it in little spots here, and it was a pool. So don't worry so much about covering your background. It shouldn't be that important to you. But it is going to be something besides putting it on a white background. So as I told you in class, that you want to have an image that does not have any, nothing was edited. So let's say that I want this to be our background. There's no need to crop it in any way because we're going to be making it in the shape of a wedge. So on Google Classroom, you should have this wedge available. You're going to download it and open it up in Photoshop. It should be pretty good quality. So what we're going to do is we need to use this wedge right here as sort of a stencil or a tracer, and we're going to be putting it onto this beach right here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go with our magic wand tool, and we're going to select inside the wedge. So if you click this, it should just have a nice selection of inside the wedge. If you find that it's selecting both inside and outside, you might have this checked off, contiguous. You want to make sure that is checked. Contiguous means connected, so what it does is it's selecting everything inside the wedge because it's connected. It's not selecting all of the white out here because it's not connected. So just make sure that contiguous is connected if you're running into some problems. So I'm going to move this. Let's make some room here. I'm just going to move this outside of my space here. And using the move tool, while the marching ants are around inside the wedge, I'm going to drag it onto my beach. So this is kind of a good kind of sign, the fact that this image right here is bigger than this beach picture. That means that the wedge, when you downloaded it, is a good quality image. However, the beach may be a low resolution picture if it's crazy bigger, if the wedge is way, way bigger, because this wedge was pretty high quality. So we're just going to have to see how it goes. If you start shrinking it up and then you cut out the wedge and you cut out the picture, and you find that when you're zooming in, you find that the picture is just not really good quality, you might need to go back and find a better quality picture. But this will do for now. What I want to do is I want to shrink this up so it's something I can deal with. You can see it's a lot of the wedges outside of the picture. So I'm going to shrink this up. Now, as I start moving this, transforming it, what is extremely important is that I have this link checked because I want to keep that proportion. This wedge is a 30-degree pie piece. And if I start messing with it, if I start to alter the proportion, it's going to really mess up that angle. So you just want to make sure that that link is checked and that this height and width, the numbers are the same. So we're going to get this the size that we want. We could rotate it if we want to. We can do all sorts of stuff to it. But you basically want it to be nice and large in that space. I'm going to also lower the opacity so I can see what exactly I'm selecting, because I may want to get some of the sand, or I may just want the sky. So I just want it kind of in the middle. And just a note, it's kind of beneficial if you don't rotate this image. Like, in other words, if you leave it like this, if you start rotating it, it might interfere with the next step in the next video. But if you can, keep it straight. Keep it just nice and even. Do not rotate it. If you absolutely have to rotate it, not the end of the world, not a big deal. It's just that you might get a little bit more complicated for you, but nothing that you can't deal with. So I just zoomed in a bit. I hit Command and plus and just got it so I can really see what's going on. So I'm liking what I'm going to be selecting. It looks good. I'm going to commit to it. Now, just like how we were cropping our images, it's should seem kind of familiar. I'm going to select the outside using the magic wand tool. I'm now selecting the outside of my wedge. I'm going to go to my background. I'm going to hit the lock, and now I hit delete. And you can see now that my shape, I'm going to hit Command D, deselect it. I'm going to put this wedge in the trash. Now you can see that my image is now the shape of the wedge. It is now time that you're going to start bringing your pictures that you have cropped onto this picture right here. So to do that, you take one at a time and you use the move tool and you start bringing them over. So this is where I'm going to go behind the scenes here, and I'm going to put the recorder on pause, and I'm just going to start setting these things up. You want these images overlapping, you want to put them in place. Don't worry if they're going to be upside down, right side up, because don't forget, this is 1/12, this wedge is 1/12 of the design. The whole image is going to be spinning around all over the place. So, all right, so get all your images on here and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I clustered all these up, I have them all stacking. Change the size, make sure that these images have different sizes. Some are really large, some of them are bigger. If you want some of your shapes maybe to be in front, this is the order of the paper. So layer 1 is your hammock, that's going to be up on top, followed by the barbecue, then the star, then the baseball. So let's say that I want this picture right here to be in front of this stamp shape. What you do is you just drag it up. So that's how that works. Should be, you should have everybody kind of overlapping one another. Should just look like a messy, like bedroom floor or something like that, filled with all sorts of shapes. Notice that I have the images also hanging off the edge of the wedge, which is completely fine. We're going to take care of it right now. So once you have everything laid out, kind of interesting looking, you can change it however you want. You can add some filters on pictures if you want. You could change colors of pictures if you want. You could put layer styles like glows and drop shadows, whatever you want. But once you have it kind of the way that you want, now it's going to be time where we're going to be kind of gluing everything together, putting it in one layer. So, but before we do, we kind of lost this wedge, so we just want to get it back. So we're going to go to the last layer, which is layer 0. It has the wedge. We're going to use the magic wand tool, and we're going to select the background again. So you can see here that you can see the marching ants outlining the wedge. So if I went to layer 2, and that's going to be this tent right here, and if I hit delete, what it's going to do is it's going to delete everything on the outside, which is what you want. So you're going to just click on each of your layers and hit delete. And you can see that it's just cleaning up all of the extra stuff hanging off. Okay, so once you do that to all your layers, you have a really nice looking wedge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to merge these layers together. Now I'm going to right click anywhere at all in here, and right here it says merge down, merge visible. Either one of these is going to work. Do not flatten image, that's going to flatten it, so you're going to end up not having a checkerboard. Don't forget, we want this wedge to not be subject to this square, this rectangular form here. We want it to kind of be free floating without anything in the background. So we're going to click on merge visible. So you can see now everybody is glued together, okay, which is what you want. At this point you want to save this image as a Photoshop file, and you want to save this as finished wedge.